What's the worst way you caught your parents cheating? I used to hide in my parents' closet so I could jump out yelling and laugh when they screamed. But one afternoon, I was sitting behind my mom's coats waiting to jump out when I heard my mom come in. But she wasn't alone this time. She brought a man with her and he kept laughing with her like he owned the house, so I didn't move and stayed quiet, hoping they'd leave. But then my dad's car pulled in the driveway earlier than normal, so my mom gasped and told the man to hide. And the next thing I knew, the door swung open and her boyfriend stumbled into the dark closet with me. He didn't even see me at first. He just turned, then jumped suddenly when he spotted me curled up next to the old shoebox. So I looked right at him and whispered, "It's dark in here." And he whispered back, "Yeah, it's dark." I saw my old baseball on the floor, so I told him my dad bought it, but I didn't really play with it. Then I asked if he wanted to buy it, but he frowned and whispered no. So I told him my dad was right outside and I could go tell him who was hiding in the closet. He froze and then sighed and asked me how much. So I told him $250, and he pulled out the bills and shoved them in my hand and didn't say another word. When my mom opened the door, he slipped out fast. I thought that was it, but a week later, it happened again. I hid in the closet after school because I wanted to see if he'd come back, and he did. He laughed with my mom like nothing ever happened. But then my dad's car pulled in early again. She panicked again, and he ended up in the closet again. He squeezed in beside me, breathing hard, so I whispered, "It's dark in here." And he whispered, "It's always dark in here." I showed him my baseball glove this time and said my dad bought it for my birthday, but I didn't really use it, so I asked if he wanted to buy it. But he glared at me and whispered no and turned away. But I reminded him my dad was home and I could walk out there and say everything. He sucked in a breath and asked, "How much now?" So I told him $750, and he handed me the cash while shaking his head. Later that week, my dad asked if I wanted to play catch and told me to grab my ball and glove, but I told him I didn't have them anymore. So he asked me where they went, and I told him I sold them for $1,000. He stared at me and asked who I sold them to, but I just shrugged. So he told me it was wrong to overcharge my friends and said I needed to learn that lying and taking advantage of people was a sin. So that Sunday, he drove me to church and grabbed the priest and pointed at me and told him I needed to confess and shoved me into the booth and shut the door. It was so quiet. The priest slid the little screen open and waited. I leaned forward and whispered, "It's dark in here," but there was silence. Then the screen slammed shut and the priest told me not to start this again.